All right.
Love an echo. Let me not be too loud.
Yeah, I think we should be all right with the echo.
Okay.
The
But also
windscreen.
let me know to monitor my voice because I will start to get loud.
Oh yeah, go for it.
and mind you.
And these motherfuckers.
Right.
But yeah, thank you for
Thank you.
making
Thank
it
you for
here
having me.
today. Thank you. So I guess introduce yourself to the people. I know you, but
Right.
the people.
I am Brandon Nicholas. I am a photographer, podcaster, filmmaker. I mean, I typically just say a storyteller and storyteller and photographer.
Okay. So we want to talk today about your filmmaking, and if you would like to tell us a little bit about the award-winning documentary that's making the rounds.
Yeah, I have a short documentary film called Miss Honey the Catsuit about Whaa Renee, who was a Jamaican American music artist. Some folks will say a drag queen, but he doesn't consider himself that. It just talks about how the catsuit came to be. I interviewed a Newark native fashion designer named Douglas Says, who made the catsuit. And while it actually is about like Whaa Renee and the outfit, it is also like about Douglas Says as a fashion designer. The beauty, I think, of like telling someone's story in general is that like you get to passively or actively correct a lot of wrongs. So, like I think a lot of folks were saying like Ma Renee or Whaa Renee, and it's like some folks have also just been like, you know, this is a trans woman or this is like a drag queen. Like
that was the other thing that was a big correction for me, because you guys are saying he, and I was just like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, so like, and it, like, I mean, I'm saying this more so to, I guess, you and whatever straight folks watch. What is also really beautiful about queer language is that like we will also say like she,
Yeah.
but like folks will refer to me as she, though
Yeah.
I like actively identify as a man, right?
Yeah. So what led you to even start doing the research on Whaa Renee?
Yeah.
That led you to say like, oh, okay, this should actually be like, I should find a way to tell this story. Like, what was the process? Was it just one day you just heard the song, or one day you were with friends?
So what's funny, I think what ultimately got me to doing the...
Because you said originally it was for the podcast.
Yeah, so what originally got me to do the Whaa Renee story when I was doing the podcast, and then I got a fellowship through GLAAD, and the fellowship was like, you know, you have to have like a short film or like some type of project by the end of it. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just take these interviews that I'd already done, and I'll just re-interview these people on camera and just like make it a short doc. Because it was originally like an episode that I'd already started working on for the podcast. Because I'd interviewed like 3 or 4 people by that point. And then when I got the fellowship, I was like, well, I don't really feel like making a whole new thing. So I'm just gonna
No, it makes sense.
Take this and
just
apply
the video. Yeah. Was there anything, maybe even if not within like in terms of content, but just around the actual X's and O's of filmmaking that were just new for you in putting together this project?
I think what had been the most jarring, for lack of better wording, and I think this does get to your question, is just like, I had always typically been like a lieutenant. Like I'd always like, I'm gonna produce, like I can produce the shit out of something for you, right? To actually sit in the director's chair is a really different energy and a really different workload. And like, Brandon is not the kind of, well, rather was not the kind of person who could readily jump and be comfortable in being the captain, right? Because I'm so and some of that I'm sure is like confidence, insecurity, whatever. It's like, I don't want to be the focal point. I like even the thought of just like having to direct folks, though that is something I feel like I like naturally can do. Like Capricorns tend to just jump in and lead any damn way. The thought of it like actually scares me. So like even when I was doing the podcast, like before every interview, I'm just like even with the short, like it's just like, damn, am I gonna show up right? Like, do I say the right things? I don't want to offend this person. Am I gonna get the right but then I always leave feeling like, okay, nigga, you did that. I can cuss right. Like, nigga, you did that. Granted, nigga ain't a cuss word, but you know. Like, nigga, you did that. So I think for me, it was the adjustment was more like emotional than it was technical. Though there were some like technical things that I had to like adjust to, or like, you know, having to like actually make the decisions, right? And trust my choices. And I think that actually was like, you know, something just like, all right, I want to do this thing. I see it in my head, but I also need to like trust my choices and be able to articulate what's in my head to everybody else. Because one thing I've learned from doing and from other folks who are doing, because like I like to like lend myself to help other folks.
Yeah.
I find that like a lot of us oftentimes have the like vision so clearly in our head that we can't articulate it outside of our bodies. So like for me, directing is like, I need to make sure that as my producer, as my actor, as my interview subject, like what's in my head. Like I see the edit, you need to like understand the edit so you know what I'm getting, like what the energy is. And so like I think that was like an interesting like learning curve for me. But
That's a great one.
and like
That's a great, yeah.
and while I think like it's one of those things like you understand in theory, but like I think I'm still very much working on like the execution and the confidence, because I'll say a thing and then of course this might still be like the insecurity and confidence. I'm like blah 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 blah. That makes sense, right? You understand what I'm saying, right? Like when I need to actually put like, all right, y'all, we need to cut the bullshit. Like, no, this is not working. I'll do that, but I'm like, hey, so this is what I'm thinking, and this makes sense, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
But like it's always that common thread. Anytime I talk to directors, where it's just like, yeah, you just have to trust your decision, because like you said, at the end of the day, like you are the captain, and the buck stops with you.
Yeah,
you have to be able to, if when you're the AD or you're the AC, when you're anybody else, you can say, well, that person, you know what I mean? That was their call. But with you, there's.
I mean, because what's also scary about it is like the consequences, good or bad, of a decision that you make lands on you. Regardless of what the producer or anybody else says, the actor says, producer, like regardless of what anybody says or do, like this decision, like the effects of that falls on you for better or worse. Mm-hmm. So like what made me really comfortable producing and being lieutenant is like, yeah, I can help you make the decision, because if it fucks up, you fucked up. if the project's bad, it's your project. You know? And I'm just like, damn, now I'm directing.
Yeah.
If this is a bad short, it's because of me.
Yeah.
There's no way around it, right? Like you can have a bad like speaker, a bad interview subject, and you need to decide in that moment how to pivot, right? Because if it's wrong, or if it's not good, I won't say wrong. If it's not good and if it's not like how you envisioned it in your head, that's on you.
Yeah.
And like being able to like really trust and sit in there. Like producers are problem solvers, directors are decision makers. We are working in tandem to make something out of nothing. It is quite nerve-wracking, but I do think it is really rewarding when like you made something good, and like you can actually feel that you made something good.
Yeah.
But like it's like, okay, yeah, I like this, because of course I made it with like my interest in mind. I'm very much like I'm directing, like I'm making things for me. Like that much I do know. So like, and I think in that way directing is a bit easier, because like this is what Brandon likes.
Yeah.
Brandon will do what he likes, and hopefully everybody else likes it as well.
Yeah.
But then like screening it and like, oh great, people are laughing when they need to laugh, or people are laughing at parts that I didn't even think was funny. Y'all like it. That's the biggest take. Like y'all like it. Y'all are coming up to me, having conversations afterwards, which is really disorienting for me to actually receive this much attention. But like, it's also affirming, because like the choices that I made, I know are working, and it's good. But there was a version of the short that is not the version that it is now. I submitted to Black Star in Philly, and then I didn't get into Black Star, but a friend of mine who was also in the fellowship got into Black Star, and so my imposter syndrome was fucking me up, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, great, I'm happy for you, but I'm also salty, right? Because you got in and I didn't, and now I'm feeling like my work is not like up to par, and because I had this like level of insecurity and imposter syndrome, I actually went in and did a whole new edit. And I think because of that, like the film, like the short is much stronger. I mean, it's not like, it's more like a facelift, not so much like full reconstructive surgery.
As far as like adjusting it and starting to win awards. So did you did all your own editing?
I did. I love editing. So like
I hate editing.
I enjoy it, but at least for Miss Honey the Catsuit, I knew that I wanted to edit this. One, because it was like, I like to edit. I think there's something really playful. There can be something really playful in the style of the editing for this, and just knowing how big and like audacious Whaa Renee was as a person, I want that to like be as reflective as possible in the editing, which is why I think the first version was so like heavily edited, maybe unnecessarily edited, because it was like, it was a lot.
Or was there a moment in which you kind of realized like, okay, like, all right, yeah, this is my baby, this is my project.
Yeah.
But this is also something I'm sharing with the world.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah,
world
yeah.
should be like, what kind of like,
Yeah.
how do you I guess balance that or do that dance of
No,
like,
yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? Not letting it be so purely about everybody
No,
else
yeah.
and taking away from your joy.
My partner, Donde, is really keen on the phrase like sacrificing your darlings, and like no, like there and. So like as we have like been continuing to work and like as I'm looking at other folks' work, I'm like, I know you really love this. And this is things I'm telling myself, right?
Yeah.
I know you really love this. You don't fucking need it. Like you were trying to force it. Like I wish I could remember what it was. There was something in the first there was something that I was trying to force into the version that got shown in LA, and I'm just like, girl, there's no word for it. Like this, like I'm showing it to people, and they're like, this is really good. Like I'm a little confused by the end of it, which lets me know it's not working right. And it's like, all right, this is a great idea, but like this is probably not the project or not the right place for it. And then sometimes I think you're also just like waiting for something else. Because I think another thing, since you've seen it, I always knew that I wanted to like connect the violence that Whaa, Renee, and like other gay Jamaican Caribbean folks have gone through in the story, but like it always felt like there wasn't like an actual seamless place to put it in. And then I was
That
like,
was the part. Sorry to interrupt, but that was the part of the documentary when I saw that even before you said that, like you revealed to the audience at the Q&A that there was a long-term like vision for a feature.
Yeah.
That was the thing that made me think like, oh man, this really could be like once you started touching on that a little bit and started to post up some of the news
and
stuff.
that's why I put it in. I was like, I need to put this in there because I think, like, as a proof of concept, regardless if it's a short film, and I think folks need to like get a sense of this is what the story is, and this is what the story is, and this is what it can be, and this is where I'm trying to take it. So like that was a darling that like I guess I could not let go of. But then it was just like, how do I convey editing wise? Like, how do I convey that like I guess that juxtaposition, because you know most of the short is like fairly like light, albeit comical. But then when we get to that moment, it's like I want us to actually drop into the reality. So it's like, and I think as much as I love to edit, this actually made me become a slightly better editor. Not even like from a technical standpoint, but like I think purely creative. Because I was like, how do I do this? Because I'm not like I'm not a sound composer, and like I actually couldn't afford to like hire the person who I wanted to do the sound. I was like, what the fuck do I do? I'm like, how? I was like, okay, let me like, who was I listening to? I was listening to somebody's music one day, and they had a part of their song was chopped and screwed. I was like, oh, maybe I could just slow down the Miss Honey song. And I think the audio was actually the template for like what the video part became. And I was like, oh. Like when I did it, I was like, and it like even the unpolished version of it, I was like, oh, this is it. I'm like, I need to clean it up a lot, but this is fucking it. And I think that made me really proud. That made me, because like what I was going to say earlier was why I also like editing is, and especially with video, is like that is like the last form of the storytelling, like the last form of like storytelling for that story. Because you know, there's a story that you write, there's a story that you shoot, and then there's a story that you edit. So like being able to edit these things, just like I know, and also because I'm directing, I see it in my head, right? I'm like I can like flesh out a whole new world in this edit. So like, and what's also interesting for me, like I see things in my head, but I don't necessarily like, I see the forest, I don't see the trees. Like I know what the forest looks like, and then when I get in front of my computer, I'm like, all right, then let me start like figuring out what type of trees these are, right? So I'm just I go through. I'm like, okay, I don't even know if this is how it probably is. My process is I look at all the footage. I take out all the sound bites that I like and put them on a timeline, and then I literally start to like, you know, move things around, play Tetris with that, and then I'm like, all right, this feels very weighted. Let me just remove all the fat. And then start dressing it on top of that. Because I'm like, girl, where are we? But just knowing just thinking like, what would younger Brandon's life have been like? What would like your younger life have been like? Had you seen like something that like you're doing now, right? Like what would my life have been like as like a queer Caribbean person had I known Whaa Renee existed when I was like 12, 13, 14, and just like, you know, being teased for being a faggot and like figuring shit out. But like now we actually have the privilege of like doing a bit more intentional work, so that like whoever, if they even care, right? Whoever is behind us or what we leave behind is impactful, like to the larger community.
It's funny because, like I said, like I went to art school, and like it was like for me, like all the straight boys, we used to be like, "Don't you hear me calling you?" Like we all said that to each other.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like so that like so for me, it's just like I had. I had an affection for it. And it's just one of those things where, like, when I first heard it, like my ears perked up.
Yeah, literally.
And it's just like, oh man, I gotta see it. But like you doing that work of archiving, that allowed me to learn so much about it. It wasn't just like a cool video or a funny thing that we experienced in high school. Like it's now a deeper story.
Because it's been nice. I think I said this earlier, but like the people that DM like my personal account or like the film's Instagram account, or like the folks who would come up to me at some of the screenings and be like, I knew of, or like I knew Whaa, Renee, yada yada. Because like much like you, I knew them via YouTube. Like I laughed at the video in college. Like me and my friends, we were just like, oh, this is a key. This is very fucking comical. I don't know who this thing is with this green wig. I don't know who these men are in the background that cannot dance, right? But then to like see people and just be like, I knew of Whaa Renee, like when I lived in Jamaica, or like I remember walking past Whaa Renee in the club, and like they made me feel like blah blah blah. So like, thank you for doing that. It's I think that is actually like really really heartwarming for me, because it's like he means more to people than just me, right? Like I have my connection, I have my relationship with this person, partly because of like our shared background, but then also because like the amount of time that you spend covering somebody, like you develop a parasocial
They become like a
relationship.
family member.
Yeah,
They become like a distant
like at this point, it's like, oh, this is my cousin.
Right? I know more about this person than my actual like blood family.
Right.
Exactly.
But knowing that like this is also like other folks have like a deep investment into this person. It's like a privilege and a joy. I mean, of course, not without hardship, because fucking filmmaking is hard. I mean, and more than hard, it is expensive. I think that is quite always the delay, right? It's just like niggas is trying to find money.
See this old ass Nikon. So, you ain't got
niggas is always trying to find money. I'm like on the fellowship grant chase right now.
I guess on the way out, if there's something that you would say to yourself, if you were to kind of teleport to day one of starting, like doing your first, interview with Douglas or whomever.
Yeah.
What's something you would say? It could be advice. It could be some kind of joke. It could be some kind of. What would you say to yourself?
I tend to never like those questions, because I'm always just like, I'll answer it. I'm going to answer, but
Everybody
I never
hates
like
that question.
Yeah, because it's just like, I hate these like, what would you say to younger you? Because it's like, I mean, altering the course will not get me here, right? I don't know if I'd be in the seat if I go back and tell day one Brandon to like, I mean, to answer the question, I'm like, get out your way. Like all of this anxiety you are experiencing, like we are all flawed human beings floating on this floating rock in space, right? Get over it. Get over yourself, get out of your way, go in and do the best you can. But no, I would tell day one Brandon, to get out of his way. I think that might have been like the biggest obstacle to like any of this. It's just like, like the fear, the anxiousness around like pulling the trigger, about like sending an email, about sending the text, about making like it took a lot, maybe not a lot, but it took some work to even post the trailer. Because I'm just like there, again, there's this like thing of, I guess I'm like always trying in defense of like, I know I am put here to do very intentional work through my storytelling, but I also have a very unrealistic fear of being the subject of attention. So in that regard, as much as I want folks to consume the work, I know that putting the work out there is also going to put folks on me, and I need to like get over that so that the work can do its thing. So it's just like, damn, I got to make the trailer, I got to post the trailer. All right, I'm just gonna press post and walk away. But folks like it, so like, I think reminding and telling myself that like, you're doing good work, the work will be so much gooder if you actually allow it to be, which requires you to, one, step up, and to two, get out of your fucking way.
Yeah.
Like, get out of your head, get out of the way. Like, you know you're doing good things. Just.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Brandon.
Thank you. This is
So
good.
we're
This is
calling
fun.
you Brandon. I know Nick. Thanks,
Yeah.
Nick.